Hello, folks. I'm Tom Simon, Trending Topics News Radio Live. We're at the Chinese Cultural Center here in Phoenix, Arizona. Councilman Nowakowski is with us. Councilman, lots of folks out here in Phoenix today to talk about cultural issues. They're concerned about this area, this building, the garden being torn down. Why are you out here today?
You know, this is a part of Phoenix history. It was built 20 years ago, but not just 20 years ago, but it was hundreds of years in the preparation. I mean, the wood has been preserved for hundreds of years, putting it together. So the architecture here is just so incredible, you can't find it anymore. I mean, the roof alone has been put together without any nails, without any screws, so they don't build roofs like that anymore. You know, so it's so unique. It's a place for our Chinese community to come together. It's a cultural center. It's a place for our children to learn about other cultures. We're the 5th largest city in the country, and all great cities have cultural centers from that diversity that makes us who we are. So if we lose our Chinese Cultural Center, then we lose a little piece of our history of the city of Phoenix. So hopefully we can talk to the developer, hopefully we can have a conversation, sit down and find some common ground, and we can really bring everyone together, and that's what today's all about.
And this is the place for Chinese and the Asian community to come together in Phoenix. There is no other place, and from what we're hearing, this is going to be shut down by the end of the month.
You know, what's really sad is that you have a grocery store where many Chinese individuals come and buy their produce here and they buy their food here, and it's a piece of China here in the city of Phoenix, and that's what this is. If you've never been to China, you come here and you can feel a piece of China in our city. So this is a jewel, and we got to figure out a way to keep the jewel here in the city of Phoenix.
I was talking to Elizabeth, who used to be the owner of this area, and she is from China, from mainland China, and she was concerned, saying that this is not just a Chinese issue, this is an issue for all people in Phoenix. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree 100%. You know, I was talking to Elizabeth, and she said it was Mayor Scriprenza that really got together and talked to the Chinese community and made this all happen. So it's a piece of Phoenix history, and we need to really make sure that this happens.
They're getting ready to march. Lots of people out here, folks, with umbrellas and the like, as you can see. I'm going to say hello to Reverend Maupin. Reverend Maupin, you're out here today.
Yes.
What do you think about this large crowd?
Well, I'm impressed with the community's response and rallying and coming together, and their immediate appeal that this is something that affects all people in Phoenix, and not just members of the Chinese community, but everyone who values having a culturally diverse and welcoming community.
What is your thought about how quickly this is all happening? Now, they're supposed to close this market by the end of the month. They're supposed to begin tearing down the garden, the beautiful garden here, by the end of the month. Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, a lot of the businesses were given less than a month's notice to vacate. They've got plans to demolish buildings that are unique in the world. Some of them has UN UNESCO World Heritage designation, part of that program, handmade. Just things that you won't see in any other part of the world outside of China. And it's important that we save this. Each of these gardens here and this center here is the pride of this community, and they've invested quite a bit to ensure that they show their appreciation and their joy and their optimism in working and being a part of this community. You know, it's sad, the history of Chinese in this community. They were run out of downtown because of gentrification, and now it seems that it's found them again here on East Van Buren, when they were the pioneers of this opportunity zone, as the city calls it. So to have them vacate from here would be just an absolute tragedy.
What amazes me is how humble, and I'll talk to you and to the council person about this, how humble these folks are. They all almost don't want to cause any waves, and yet they're being just booted out. They're just being kicked out without any ceremony at all.
Well,
does it seem fair to you, Councilman?
It doesn't seem fair. What's amazing is that the families are telling me that they come here and they even practice Chinese and customs and traditions and all that, and they're asking, where are we going to do this now? There's nowhere else to practice all these traditions and customs, It's not just about language. It's about food. It's about the Chinese week here. It's about celebration, dance, and all that. So I think we're going to go ahead and start walking.
I'm going to walk with you guys for just a little bit, just to talk to you a little bit more about this. You know, as we walk down here, we're going to walk past the garden, folks. You can see the garden there. And this is a garden that was designed over 20 years ago and put together. And the Chinese community wants to keep this garden.
Without nails.
Without
nails. It's a work of art.
Without nails, and much of the wood is, what did she say? Much of the wood is 20 years old?
Oh, you know what? Over 50 years old, that just to prepare it. And that there's no exact replicas, so there's no blueprints or anything, because it's really done by the heart, by the spirit, by the soul. And the individuals that have built this are no longer alive, so it's a part of history that we can't, and architectural history that we can't lose neither, right?
We're talking with the city councilman from Phoenix, Arizona, and with Jarrett Maupin, Reverend Jarrett Maupin. They are down here. We are in the middle of a march right now by the Asian community in Phoenix, but just about anybody is invited. The Asian community is upset because this area is going to be shut down. This is right at 44th Street, just above Van Buren and Washington Street, on the east side of Phoenix. And this has been
this is our connection to 1/3 of the world's population. Billions of people. This is Phoenix's connection to billions and billions of people all over the world. And it's just sad to see it put in jeopardy. Look at it, it's beautiful, and the people have been locked out. The new owners don't even let them visit with the garden anymore, so we must do something.
You know, what's interesting to me is that they said they got an email. That's how they found out that this was done. Does that sound like good community business to you, Councilman?
No, not at all. You know, what's really sad is that I think we should sit down around the table and have a conversation and figure out some common ground where we can all work and making sure that we save the history of Phoenix, you know, especially the Chinese communities. This is precious. And, you know, the economic development that comes out of here, the businesses from China that fly into our Sky Harbor that's just right down the street to do business here. It's the interchange that happens. So this is not just a cultural center, it's a place for growth and business and economic development for the city of Phoenix.
You know, folks, the story here is that you have this beautiful garden here, and we'll show it to you again. And this is built by hand. I'm told that by the former owners of this garden that you can't even move these things. No. If you move them, they'll break. There's no way to move them. So there's no replacement for them. And there's no place for the Asian community to go in the Phoenix area but here. And so when this is gone, what do, Reverend Maupin?
Well, hopefully it won't be done. You know, Phoenix is a welcoming city. We've got wonderful people on the city council. Councilman Nowakowski, Councilman South of CCO has 2 daughters who are Chinese. There will be a place for the Chinese people. I believe that the city council will not allow them to be evicted out of this building and out of our community. That we cannot tolerate, and we hope that they can remain here and that this can continue to be a center of their cultural and social lives.
Folks, we are live in Phoenix, Arizona. You can see now the protesters here with their signs, Save Arizona, and their umbrellas, wanting to get attention now. Save the Chinese culture, says that one sign. Another one says Preserve Phoenix history. And Czech is with us. He's one of the folks that's out here marching today. Czech, you have something you want to say?
I do, and it's directed not only to this councilman who happens to be here, but to our city council and our mayor. Recent research over about the last 10 years pretty consistently shows that those cities which are open, that welcome diversity, and that make the moves so that that is clear, are the cities that grow. The cities that have a positive future in terms of economic development as well as population growth. So it would be a step in the wrong direction for the city of Phoenix to allow this to be lost.
What do you say to that, Councilman?
Well, I agree 100%. I mean, it's about showing the diversity that we have as a city of Phoenix. Being the 5th largest city, it shows that we're a part of America. I mean, Americans are from all different walks of life. And once again, you know, we talked about that whole economic development from the airport just down the street from here. I mean, I remember coming here and celebrating Chinese Week, coming here, eating food, watching the culture, and just to see the architecture here and have people locked out. It's really sad. I remember coming as a student, and we used to take tours, you know, and that was back when I was still in the ESU, and we would come in here and look at the architecture of the building and stuff. So I think it's so important for our children and our grandchildren to understand and to see this beautiful garden and the craftsmanship. I mean, you can't see that craftsmanship anymore. And once again, there's no blueprints of this craftsmanship because it's done with your hands and your heart and your soul. So, you know, how can you reproduce it? You can't. So hopefully that we can find that common ground and figure out a way to save the cultural center, save this beautiful garden, and keep the culture alive for the Chinese community in the city of Phoenix that benefits all the city.
Jack?
I'd like to comment a little further on how much this is handcrafted. You know, the modernization of China after the 1978 Party plenum, emphasizing the 4 modernizations: agriculture, then industry, then science, and finally military, which is what's caught the attention of the world. But the result is that in mainland China, you're not having family lines of craftsmen, grandfather, father, and son, who can produce the type of things that are here now. Everything of a similar nature now in mainland China is produced in factories, which is very logical. You can get more quantity, but the quality won't be the same. And then beyond the materials, the installation by careful hand craftsmen, again, often in family lineages, is irreplaceable. Today, it's well known, most Chinese have left the farm, have left their crafts, and gone on to work in factories and in a modern economy. So you could replicate parts of this, but it won't be the same quality and it won't be the same historic value.
How important is that, Reverend Maupin?
Well, it's critical, and the other thing is it's a gift from the Chinese people to the people of the city of Phoenix. And, you know, we have to be an opening and affirming community. This is about the dignity and worth of a culture that has contributed significantly to our local economy. As several people said just today, this is a landmark that can be seen from the air. This is a landmark that has signage on our highways and freeways. It's a destination place, and it's important that we protect it and cherish it and recognize it for what it is. 50 years, every piece of wood used on that roof is 50 years old. It takes hundreds of years, thousands of years for these trees to mature in China. So for the Chinese people to come together architecturally and design-wise and invest so much, these gardens are places of spiritual and intellectual and familial and social contemplation. How do we take that from them and from us?
Let's look at some of the front. I want to talk to Elizabeth for just a second. I'll be right back, folks. Elizabeth, let me talk to you for just a second. Come on, Elizabeth.
I'm shy from a meeting. That's okay.
Elizabeth, let me just talk to you just for a minute here. What does this mean to you, this cultural center? Tell the people what it means to you.
Well, I'm very encouraged because this is not a heritage of the Chinese community. It's a heritage for the state and for the entire United States.
So not just Chinese, you think all people in the United States, all people in Phoenix, Arizona should be concerned that this place would go away. The garden is beautiful. Tell us about the beginning of the garden.
In 1996, when I was the president of the developer, and we worked with the city, and in view of the city's future growth, that we need to add Chinese elements. So we worked very hard with the city and helped by the city to get some Chinese contractor and a craftsperson to come to the United States to help install this garden. Many pieces of this country artifacts are actually a replica of a famous Chinese cities.
Really?
Every one of them are actually carved with stories, and some of those are declared by the United Nations Historical Heritage Funds as World Preserve place. So this garden started a time and has always intended to be a place to share with all residents and a place for people for the field trips, for the local residents to enjoy different culture, which this is what America is about.
The developer wants to tear this down. You say what?
Well, I think they make a big mistake. If they understand the value of this garden and the meaning of this garden, I hope they do change their mind.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I know it's not easy.
Thank you very much.
So that's Elizabeth. She used to be the operator of COFCO, which is the company. COFCO stands for Chinese Oil and Food Company, correct? A big company from China, and they built this over 20 years ago, and it is a beautiful building. But now this landmark is blocked off and is set to be destroyed as early as next month, unless something happens to it with it. They are trying to negotiate with the developers, but they closed the business deal on June 9th, Reverend Maupin, and on June 30th, very fast after that, they gave a notice for people like the market to move within 30 days. That seems like very fast.
Well, I think the city should step in. There's some things that can be done to designate it a historic landmark or a point of pride. But I think because of the turnout today, and I don't want to speak prematurely, but if the feelings of the council people that I've talked to are accurate, there may be an investigation into the sale by the Attorney General's office as a consumer issue. It's important to know that fairness was a part of any deal here, and it's important to see if there are tax implications or development implications from the city that would prevent this building from being taken down.
Let me talk with just for a second here. Come on over here for just a second. I want to talk to you just a second. Now, you have been very involved in getting these. Are you happy? Are you happy first of all with the turnout?
Oh yeah, I mean it was a one-day setup, so it was like last time we called it March, so it was a really great turnout. We had planned a week before. I think we have about 2,000-3,000 people here.
What do you think is going to be the result of this now? You have the city councilman out here today looking and doing some first-hand investigation. He has said he wants to look further into this deal. What would you like to see happen?
Well, we certainly like to see that the council, our community, the large community support what we're doing, and that is saving the Chinese Culture Center for the heritage, for the culture, for what we have put into for the last 20 years. So we want to save this wonderful garden, this culture center for our kids and for our grandkids. So that's very important to us.
What does the garden mean to you personally?
Well, for me, like 20 years ago when we came here, we donated money to build partially this garden. And the promise from the developer was, this is going to be your garden for you and your grandkids to enjoy. Now, suddenly, it could be disappearing from us. Imagine you had the news from someone saying, hey, your house is going to be gone.
Right.
Imagine that happen.
In 30 days.
In 30 days, except whatever it is. And I hope that the owner of this project understand where the Chinese community coming from, how the whole community where supported this development, this culture center, and hopefully they would work with us and save this a wonderful location, a basically icon in our community, so that we can share with our friends that came from England or China or Spain or just from New York City, coming in Arizona and say, let's go see the culture center. It's very critical for the culture of this community.
You know, I send pictures of this cultural center back to Beijing because I have some friends in Beijing, and they love it. The fact that there's this piece of China in Phoenix, Arizona, in the middle of the desert.
Oh yeah, there's only maybe 4 or 5 gardens like this around North America. One being in Vancouver, one in Washington D.C., and then ours is here. It's really a very unique treasure in our community that I just don't want to see gone away.
I talked with Elizabeth earlier about this, and she made a point that this is not just for the Asian community.
Oh no, of course not. It's for everybody in the community here. It's for the people in America, because we were among the only 4 or 5 garden like this in America.
Yeah. So the big store that everybody knows about that is not that people are not who are not Asian. A lot of people, non-Asians, come and shop at this supermarket here. Mm-hmm. It is supposed to be out of business by the 25th. They're going to be closing down unless something happens.
Right.
What do you think that means? That you can be shopping at a shopping place for 10, 15 years, 20 years, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 30 days, you got to get out and.
Well, I mean, obviously, all the shopper that shop here are very disappointed. Same token, the retail shop really brings into the culture part of it, the food part of it, the cuisine and all that. The fresh fish in there, the seafood, and all the special kind of item stuff from Indian culture, maybe from the Thai culture or Chinese culture. Food item that sell here is going to be gone. Obviously, the owner of the market is taking a big loss because after 20 years working here, now they had to go.
Yeah.
It's a big financial loss for them.
I talked to him the other day, and he had to make a decision whether to close completely or to move to another location. He was almost going to close completely, which meant jobs.
Yeah.
Which meant his livelihood gone completely. He found another place in Scottsdale.
Right.
But the city of Phoenix says they want to keep you guys here.
Well, we like to, because the problem is if they move to Scottsdale, we lose all the employment. We lost all the sales tax. It's not a good situation. It's bad for the operator here. He had lost a lot of money just staying here.
Well, I appreciate your hospitality. I know you've got work to do organizing this today. Good job organizing.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate
it. We'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you. Thank you for our friends. Come support us to save the center. Thank you.
They're wanting to save the cultural center, folks, here, the Chinese Cultural Center. Lots of emotion, of course, as you can imagine here in Phoenix, Arizona. As I show you this beautiful garden area, but there are lots of businesses in there as well. And our city councilman is here too, and he's had a chance to mingle with some of the folks. Councilman, you've had a chance to mingle with some of the folks and get a chance to talk to them. What are you hearing?
You know what? People are just really scared that they're going to lose a piece of China here in Phoenix, and that they just want to save the garden. They want to save their cultural center, and they want to save their traditions. And it's sad to hear and see so many children out here that are holding signs saying "Save our Chinese culture, save our garden," and hopefully we can sit down and have that conversation and make it happen.
I have some friends in Beijing,
right,
and I've been sending them some pictures back of the cultural center, and they absolutely love the fact that there's a piece of China here in the middle of the desert in Phoenix, Arizona, and they're upset. I know that the board that is looking after trying to keep it here, preserve it here, has gotten a lot of support from Beijing, China. What do you say to those people who are perhaps watching this video in Beijing or on WeChat and other social media about what the city of Phoenix, how the city of Phoenix, or how you as a city council person feel about this center and its importance?
First, if there's anybody who is a part of bringing this treasure, this jewel, to the city of Phoenix, I want to thank them. And it's so important. It's so important that we have cultural centers, that we have this Chinese garden here in the city of Phoenix, so that we as Americans learn about the diversity of this great country. I happen to be Polish, and my father's Polish and my mom's Mexican. It's that whole diversity here. That what is an American? An American is a mixture of all different cultures. And today is a fine example of how people are holding American flags. They're proud of being American and they're proud of being Chinese. So that's what it's all about. Is how do we bring the riches from all these other countries and share it with the rest of the world? So I think that's one of the things that I'm hearing here. And I just want to thank all those individuals from China that have brought this treasure here and what I call a piece of China here in the desert.
Are you going to try and keep it?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate it.
it.
That's the city councilman who says he's going to do what he can to try and keep the cultural center here. This is very important, to the people of the city of Phoenix, but also to the Asian community in particular. I'll show you down the line there some of the people that are here holding up signs. There's a gentleman with a U.S. flag holding it up. There's a picture. Let me see get these pictures here. There's a picture of the cultural center. It is absolutely beautiful. Son, what is your name?
Tommy.
Tommy, what does this mean to you?
A lot.
Yeah. Your family is Chinese?
Yes.
And are you second generation American, first generation American? What?
I'm not American. I'm originally Chinese.
You're originally from Chinese. Okay, so you speak excellent English.
Yeah.
Have you shopped here a lot?
Yes, a lot.
And so to your family, losing this cultural center was a big surprise?
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you have to say to folks out there about whether...
Yeah, save the cultural center, definitely.
Well, it's good to meet you. Thank you for being out here today.
Good to meet you too.
The pictures are good. You took great pictures. Nice turnout today, isn't it?
It is a good turnout.
I'm going to go by it. And what is your first name, sir?
Stephen.
Stephen, let me move over here because the cops will get mad at me. So, what is your involvement with the Cultural Center?
My wife and son are Chinese, and I'm here to support them and all the Chinese people to save this wonderful building.
We're talking to Reverend Maupin and to the city council member about and to Elizabeth, who used to actually own Cofco here.
Mm-hmm.
This is more than just a cultural center for Chinese. All Asians gravitate toward here, don't they?
Yes. And a friend of ours, her father was one of the general contractors that built this 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
So, what is it as an American, as an Anglo-American, with a Chinese wife, when you see this kind of thing happen to the Chinese culture, where they are told that they have to move within 30 days, does it bother you? How does it make you feel?
It's sad. They've been here, they built this beautiful building. Why force them to move? Why can't they stay? There's got the Serbian church over there. They've been here for probably 30 years. And, they need a place in the valley to be able to exercise their heritage and their culture. And, this is a perfect example of it.
There really is no other place for congregating as the Asian people do here. I know that not just the Chinese, but the Japanese, the
Koreans,
the Vietnamese, all seem to look at this as a place of respite, a place where they can come and feel comfortable shopping and enjoy themselves.
They do, and I love it. I love the food.
Yeah.
All the different cultures, with their food here is something for me to experience. So, I watched this thing get built from the ground up 20 years ago, and it's a shame that this could possibly be torn down. I think it's sad because these people, this is very important to them.
Side point, this is your wife, I imagine?
This is my wife, Wayne.
Where did you meet?
Where did we meet? We met here in town.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for talking to us
Actually,
today.
she just got her citizenship. She just became a U.S. citizen.
Congratulations.
So.
Good to have you as one of the United States citizens. Hopefully something good can happen from this.
I hope something good where they can find a way to leave this and why it has to move, I don't understand. Especially when what I heard they sold it for. That's 50% of what they built it for. So something's not right.
Yeah, we're looking into that as well.
Yeah.
Good to talk with you folks.
All right. Thanks for that.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Try and keep cool. Yeah, I know. So let's see if we can
Hi, Meg.